What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Colecast. We have messed with our sound settings again, so if I'm screaming, I apologize. We have a new noise gate, and the return on my headphones is a little low, but Evan tells me we sound good, so we're going to go with it. We are once again back in the Bounce House room, getting ready for the Andy Davis Hammer-In. This will likely come out much after that, but our good friend Paul has come to visit us, so as much as I'd like to do a recap of what happened, it hasn't happened yet. So that might be a couple weeks away, or we might do a recap before we put this out. I don't know when this is coming out. This is like one of the first ones that might be we might keep it for a couple weeks. Yeah. No offense to you. We just have other things going on, Paul. Get off my back.
I didn't say nothing.
But we have Paul here from Gentle Giant Forge. He's been a good friend of ours, 12-tone owner. He's stayed in contact with us, good friends with our fabricator, Josh. Is always responsive to what we're putting on Instagram, talks to us a lot, very positive feedback, is always really interested in what we're doing. We gain a lot of inspiration from him. He gains a lot of inspiration from what we're doing, hopefully. And just a great member of the community and one of the guys out on the West Coast that we wanted to get some attention to because you and David are doing some cool stuff out there, and especially when you guys go out and the Iron Rhino Forge and link up and you know, we tout on the community of Indiana, and seems like you guys are really making good headway to make sure that happens out in Arizona.
We're definitely trying. He actually hired me as his shop manager.
Oh, cool.
So I've been working part-time with him, trying to get his whole Tempe shop all set up and everything.
Nice. I met him out at CBA this last year, and we're going to try and get out to the West Coast a little bit more, hopefully over the next couple of years. But CBA is also a good place for you guys out on the West Coast to meet not just guys from California, but Arizona goes out, Nevada goes out, New Mexico goes out. Especially this year, it's going to be in Vista.
Yeah.
So I believe it's outside of San Diego?
It is.
Yes.
Vista is North County.
North County outside of San Diego. You heard it here first. They've probably talked about it a little bit, but we will be going to that, and that'll be my first plug for that. Hopefully we'll be able to do some sort of coordinated schedule to do like a Coal Ironworks Presents and have a presenter actually work on a press and do different press techniques, you know, incorporating their own styles. I know that they had Nigel Barrett from the UK kind of lined up. I don't know if that's still on the books. So scratch that from the record if I'm wrong, but you know, it should be a good time. He's kind of a UK press guru, so it'll be fun to see him working on the press.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So, but let's get into it. Paul.
Yes.
Tell us about yourself. What do you do? Where you come from?
So I am a bladesmith out of Mesa, Arizona. Been doing it for, I was trying to figure out, I think it's like 10 or 11 years at this point. Started after I had a buddy of mine tell me you couldn't do that. After a Renaissance fair and we were watching Forged in Fire, and I really don't like being told what I can and can't do. Yeah. So I dug a hole in the backyard and kind of made a pair of tongs, and I was like, okay, I can do a knife next, and then spent 3 weeks making a knife that looked absolutely terrible.
Sure, they always do the first one.
Yeah. And then just kept making them. And then Forge and Fire reached out to me and was a competitor on that show. So that was fun during COVID. Yeah. Had to fly out to New York and take the craziest lift ride of my life from New York to Connecticut. And great experience. But then did my first show at Blade Show West. Was my first ever...
In Salt Lake?
Yeah, in Salt Lake. The first year was in Salt Lake. Yep. Was the first show I ever did. And I remember you guys I just bought my 12-ton at that point. Because I went on the show. My wife felt bad that I didn't win. Surprise.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry. And she was just proud of all the work I'd been doing. So she bought me a 12-ton from you guys. And I went out to Salt Lake probably 2 weeks after I'd gotten it. And I met Evan for the first time there. Logan was there too, but Evan was the one who I was really talking to, and I think that's when you guys brought out the induction forge for the first time. If I remember,
I've never been to West.
I was not at West.
Evan's never been to West either.
Was that Atlanta the next year then?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
We did have the induction forge, but it was not a coal branded induction forge.
It wasn't. It was Matt Hartwig. That's who was there.
Oh, okay.
Matt Hartwig.
I
was
am
there.
flattered.
Good looking guy, honestly.
Yeah, no, he was really
Good job,
great.
Matt.
He came and actually looked at a bunch of my knives and was very gentle with his feedback because I still wasn't quite there yet. But he brought over, actually it was him, came by, gave me some good feedback, and then Rick Hall and Niels Vandenberg. Niels came over to my table and
one.
demolished my table.
Yep.
And had me reset everything. And he's like, this is what you're going to do. This is what you need to do. Get out a pen and paper. And I just became obsessed with getting better at that point.
Shut up. I'm your dad now.
Yeah, literally. But no, Niels gave me a bunch of good feedback. I started messaging him on Instagram, pictures of knives. He kept telling me what to work on. And then I think after that is when you guys announced the first Andy Davis hammer in.
Yeah, it would have been my very first year here. So 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing that I did after going to Blade West and only selling one knife. Thank you to that person that probably bought that terrible knife, but I hope it's serving you well. And then I came to the Andy Davis hammer in and knew nobody. Had no idea who anybody was. Completely was just walking around. Talked to Josh Weston. Yep. Was the first time. And me and him were talking about our forged experiences. And then that brought in Bob Rink and met him for the first time.
He's the best.
Yeah. Oh, I love Bob.
So is Josh. But.
Yeah. I had no idea who I was talking to, but then me and Josh took naps over on those couches because we were just so tired. And then David came in and we were talking to him and I was like, I have no idea who these people are. And then I go later, I'm like, oh, I was talking to actually really dope people to know.
Yeah.
So did that and then got some feedback from Will Stelter on some knives of mine. So just once again, went home, started working again, and then took a class with Salem. And then that's kind of where that's continued. I've done a few classes with him at this point and won Best Culinary at Texas Select this past year for a jailbird feather chef knife I did with him. That was pretty fun.
Evan, we're in a new spot. I don't know if you can bring that up.
What?
His Texas Western. Yeah, we'll pop it up on the screen real quick. The quick turnaround from when we met that first year, or it might have been the second year, to. And it's like this with a lot of people that I meet in the community is who are you? Oh, we're best friends all of a sudden, and since that moment, it's been a lot of hey, check out what I'm doing. Do you think I can do this? There's a lot of back and forth between you and I, and you are physical evidence of when I sit, I talk a lot about guys reaching out to me on Instagram or doing this or whatever. Excuse me. But you are physical evidence of that.
Yes.
So if anybody ever thinks I'm lying, Paul does it. All right.
Yeah. Even with the last podcast I saw, you were like, let us know how you guys sound. And I was like, sounds great.
Yeah.
I was fine with it.
Yeah. It apparently sounded good. I have terrible vision, terrible sense of smell. I can't hear anything. God really just did not care what I had
Gave
when
you
it
no
came to
advantages.
senses. Yeah. He was like, whatever. I'm going to make this dude lanky with a pooch belly. So this is the knife that won the Texas Select Knife Show, and it is beautiful. And you said you call it jailbird?
It's jailbird feather.
Okay.
Or no, spawn chain feather. I'm sorry.
Spawn chain.
Because actually, it's hard to see in that picture, but inside each individual chain link, there's stack C's.
Oh,
so
okay.
it looks more like a spawn chain from the Marvel character Spawn.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah.
That was one of the first movies that I was allowed to watch that gave me nightmares.
See, it was Anaconda for me.
Ooh, Anaconda's a good one.
That was that one.
Yeah.
I still don't like snakes.
There's a lake here with a church camp on it that I used to go to called Lake Placid. There's also a scary movie called Lake Placid.
Betty Davis.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite guilty pleasure horror movies. You guys want some cows?
They a ton of kids wouldn't swim that next year. So your swimming stuff that is okay, who wants to go swimming? You could just swim all day because there wasn't and be like, well, there's only like 3 kids out here and we have a whole lifeguard. Anybody that wants to swim, it doesn't matter if you're in like this group or that group or whatever, because they would do like group A would do swimming and then basketball and then lunch or whatever. And like each group you were in had a different schedule. But for swimming, if you just want to swim all day, they were like, well, whatever.
Yeah. See, for me, I was like big into swimming, and then I saw Jaws for the first time. And then I felt this inherent fear that there was this magical cage underneath pools that Jaws was just going to come out of and eat me. So, yeah.
And you're a big fan of your toes.
Yeah.
You got to keep those on.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't swim for like a year, and then I became naturally buoyant. So I just kind of like float. It's great.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. When I bought my house, it had a pool, and I was like, oh, I'll just take it out. And my mom was like, no, I love just sitting by the pool. And you have a nephew, and your brothers and sisters are all going to love to come out and go in the pool. And they do. I 2 or 3 times a week, there's people at my house, at my pool. It's nice because they're all very aware of the fact that like they should help take care of it.
Yeah.
So I'll get home and they're like raking leaves out of it or draining the pump or whatever. And they help pay for chemicals. So that's cool. But my favorite thing to do is like 7:30, 8 o'clock, right when it's about to be sundown. You go out there and you just float, take a little nap on the water.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
I love the one thing I like about being in an HOA is I have a pool I don't have to take care of.
Oh, nice.
And like we have a little park the kids go to, and like during summer when it's, nice, cool 115 degrees in Phoenix, it's nice to just go.
But it's a dry heat.
It's
a dry heat.
We did have some humidity this year. I think we got up to like 40%, and I was like, that's where this wonderful sweat stain on the hat came from. And I was like, this is unbearable. And I think Josh and another buddy of ours, Dave, were telling me like, oh, we're like at 80% humidity. I'm like, I would die.
Yeah, 90% humidity, 100 degrees is not uncommon.
No, that sounds like my own personal version of hell. Like,
swamp rot.
Yeah, no, I'm a large man, and chafing is not a friend when it comes to that. So I will keep my dry heat and sound like the most stereotypical Southwestern person when it comes to it. Like, it is miserable forging in 100-degree heat, but like you just do what you got to do.
Yeah. Well, and you're in a driveway too. You're not in a shop. Right?
No, and I'm very lucky that my garage. So the cool thing about the house we bought was our house was one of the model houses, but it also had the leasing office in it. So they insulated our garage.
Nice.
So like we also have an AC vent that I don't use because electricity is expensive.
Yep.
But
if you needed to.
If I needed to. Like there were some days where I was out grinding and it was like 115 in the garage, even with it being insulated. And I just look at my wife and I'm like, honey, I'm going to eat the electrical bill this month. And I just pull that down and I'm like, 80 degrees right now, sitting there grinding on knives until it gets like too smoked out. And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to go inside and stop sniffing metal dust for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, probably for the best.
Yeah,
probably
you would think so.
So we talked about what got you into blacksmithing, being told you can't do it. What was that first experience like when you lit your forge and you were able to come up with a knife-shaped object? Walk me through the feelings, the emotions, overcome with joy and self-hatred because it's not exactly what you wanted. There's so many emotions tied into that first experience.
100%. My first experience so there was 2 really like big ones. The first thing that I ever forged was a pair of tongs. And I watched religiously YouTube videos before this. I'd watched like hundreds of hours at this point of like just different makers. Most of them were like, this is when Alex Steele was really starting his like, I'm going to not make like educational content. I'm going to make more like fun content for YouTube and like show the process. But like I would sit there and like watch his process, rewind the video and stuff. And then I came across this dude who isn't on YouTube anymore, but was like, I think it was like the Backyard Boyer or something like that. And he made a pair of rebar tongs.
Is that the same guy that Rob was telling us about?
I have no idea.
Rob was telling us about a guy, and I think he said he wasn't on YouTube anymore too. And he said he was like, the guy, doesn't know what he's doing, but he makes you feel like you can do it. And it is that much, it's so important to make it approachable. And that's what he said. He was like, that's how I got started, is because I watch all these videos that seem unattainable. And then I watch one guy with a fire pit in his backyard make some tongs.
That's literally what he like. So I watched him do it, and I was like, okay, if he can do it, I can do it. So I went and stole my mom's hair dryer, That was a great conversation after the fact. But stuck that on up at the end of a galvanized pipe.
Nice.
Learned that lesson.
Yeah, just drink some milk. You'll be all right.
No, it was great. I was like, what's this smoke?
The back of my eyes itch.
I smell colors at this point. But so did that, and I used charcoal briquettes as my coal.
As
and I
one
was
does,
like,
yeah.
I'd never seen so many fireflies in anything. And I was like, oh, I should probably not do this
Yeah.
because we had this old Brazilian. I lived in San Diego at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in the east part of San Diego, and it was drought season. So we had this old Brazilian pepper tree that was like a powder keg waiting to explode.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just sitting there like, la-di-da-di-da, making this pair of tongs, like beating it on it. Think like a 15-pound cast iron Harbor Freight anvil.
Yeah.
That my dad said, shut up, like, this will keep you like entertained for the next
Yeah,
20 minutes until you have your
exactly.
next rabbit hole. Cause like I have like seriously undiagnosed ADHD. So I always get like a new hobby. And this is the hobby that has stuck the longest. And now it's my actual career.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, making the tongs for the first time was its own experience because like you're getting burned, you're getting like, you have no idea what you're doing. The metal doesn't want to bend for you because it's rebar, so you don't know if it's high carbon or what conglomeration of steel is made in this thing.
You don't have tongs to hold it because
You're
making
literally
your first
just
set of
burning your
tongs.
hand holding it and trying it and everything. But I made that pair of tongs, riveted it together, and I thought it was the coolest set of tongs in the entire world. I used them up until they blew apart on a heat treat like last year. I still use them for heat treating just because
they're already blown
like
apart.
it was like, okay, cool, like work.
Yeah.
So I love those tongs, and after doing that, I was like, I think I could enjoy doing this. And then I watched Ryu and Neil Cammy Moore's episode of Forged in Fire, and was like, I can make a knife. I can BS my way through this. So I took an old farrier's rasp, kind of beat that into a semi-oval object, more so than it was, and then took it to my dad's 4x36 Harbor Freight grinder, and spent the next 2 weeks grinding off all the teeth on the same 120 grit belt. That by the time I was done was probably like a 2400 grit at that point.
Yeah.
Like it was so bad. Yeah, I made that first knife and I gave it away to somebody I worked with at the coffee company that is large and based in Seattle.
Yes.
Gave that away to one of my coworkers, and he still has it. He's like, I use it every day for opening boxes and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that thing wasn't even heat treated. So like, I don't know how it has an edge on it at this point. But no, between those two things, the success that I felt of just being able to like I'd done some woodworking projects and like Boy Scouts and stuff and everything, and like, but being able to move metal and get it to a reasonable shape that you wanted it to is such an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And like I truly say this, like there's nothing like it to me. Like being able to forge anything. And now that that's evolved years later, it's like, you know, you see people like Charlie or Josh Prince or Mareko Mamausi or Salem, and they're sitting there and like, without a blink of an eye, I'm knocking out these cool patterns, and I'm like, I can't do that. And I'm like, no. You've gotten this far. You absolutely can do that. What are the steps to get there?
Right.
And it's like, if there's one thing I could say, blacksmithing has probably made me a more confident person.
Yeah.
Because of that. Because it's like, I may not be able to do it right now, but there's an avenue somehow of me being able to get there and doing it.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love about that and the community. And like, it's super supportive. Like I've never been a part of a community ever in anything I've done, like high school football or, you know, I worked at Disneyland for a few years. Like I still have friends from there and everything, and they're great. And I love them with all my heart. But the community that we have here is so supportive. Like if I came here without a jacket because I don't know what this white stuff on the ground is right now whatsoever.
Which has happened.
I don't know what that is. I literally got off the plane and I was like, oh, it's cold. This is like cold.
Yeah.
But I know that without a doubt, there'd be somebody in the back of their truck somewhere that had like an old Carhartt. They're like, yeah, just wear this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like that's amazing. Like just the willingness to help each other. And like Salem has no reason to talk to a dude like me, but he will answer any question I have. I literally called him the other day because I was fixing up a press at Iron Rhino. They bought like a 16-ton homemade press from somebody, and it didn't run at all. And I was like, okay, you're the guy that I know that knows like weird things. And he's like, yeah, your motor's running backwards. And I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yes. Yep. So I did all the diagnosis, and I was like, oh, without you even being here, like you knew exactly what it was and gave me the fix.
Yeah.
And I was like, can I pay you? And he's like, no, just helping you out. And I was like, that kind of community is just insane. And I've called here before. I remember when my 12-ton valve was one of the valves that went bad. You guys were like, yep, new unit's on its way. Like, we got you. And you just like wanted to get me back up and making stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the coolest thing.
Yeah, that's at the end of the day, it's like, and we just talked about this with the other Paul that we did an interview with yesterday, but at the end of the day, the reason we're here is to make things together. It's because we're like-minded in that area. Yeah. We want to see the creation, but we can't do that if we don't have each other. There's so many projects that I've worked through that Charlie's jumped in and helped me on, that Nathan's come in and helped me on, that Logan's come in and helped me on, that I owe it to them that if they're having a problem with something I've done before, why would I not share that with them?
Oh, totally.
And I think there's kind of a stereotype. You get the knife makers who are like, oh, let me show you this. And you say, oh, it's really cool. How'd you get this pattern in it? And they're like, oh, it's my secrets, you know? And then you go to a blacksmith and you say, hey, I really want to see how you do that. And they're like, are you willing to work for the next 10 years so that I can explain?
Yeah.
There's all these negative stereotypes of knife makers and blacksmiths that make us seem curmudgeonly or angry. And, you know, you watch any movie with a blacksmith and the blacksmith is always like, get out of my shop now, you know, like... And in reality, you go and you approach these guys that, you know, when I first started with Cole, I started to meet some of my heroes.
Yeah.
And they always say, don't meet your heroes. And so I'd walk up and I'd be like, hey, I'm Francis. I work at Cole Ironworks. I just wanted to shake your hand. And they'd be like, oh, awesome. Why are you here? What are you doing? What, you know, I've got a demo for the next 2 hours, but after that, I'd love to come work on your press. Is that okay? I haven't worked one of your presses yet. And it's like, the atmosphere is, and maybe it's because there's no such thing as a millionaire blacksmith, or, you know, like there's no celebrities that the common folk would be able to see. So it's all very like, you're rubbing shoulders with a lot of the same people. So maybe that keeps us a little bit humble,
right?
And keeps the ego away. But there really is no better outlet, or not outlet, but there's no better support system. You know, if you work at a hospital and you can't diagnose somebody, you can't just call the hospital over and say, hey, I've got a patient with these symptoms. And they're going to say, I got an hour. I'm going to pop over and run some tests with you.
Oh, I know that one all too well. Yeah.
With
my son, it's like, no, but yeah, no, I totally agree. The blacksmithing community and the bladesmithing community too, like I can lump them together. But
yeah, absolutely.
They're the like nicest, most genuine group of people. Like they're not going to hold like, I love when the people are like, do you want real feedback or do you want me to like be nice to you? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I want the feedback that I need to take notes on to like every inch so I can know what I can do better next time. But like, I like that they'll ask that to you because like you can get those like little 6, 7, 8-year-olds who make their first knife. And I actually remember the one time when I went to a show in Texas Select in Belleville, there was this like 6-year-old that was walking around with his knife that he made, and it was like a horseshoe knife, and he was asking like Jay Nielsen for some feedback on it, and then
Jay probably tore him apart.
No, he was like, do you want real feedback or do you want like me? And he's like, no, I want real feedback. And Jay was like, he was still gentle about it compared to like the persona he has on TV. Like,
also, we love Jay. I just want to say that, like, when the first time we met Jay, we went to a show and he was demonstrating on a press, and the generator kept going out. And the first thing he did when he pulled his canister open and it hadn't welded, he stopped and he looked at the crowd and he said, "Guys, do not think that this is the press's fault. I didn't fill the canister as full as I should. We had some problems with the generator. This press is awesome. Thank you so much." And then he came over and I'm so sorry. This is what should have happened. And I told him flat out, I was like, dude, I've watched you on TV for 5 or 6 years, 7 years, however long it was at the point. And I thought I was going to hate you. And he was like, Yeah, most people do. And like, he's just so cool about it, but like, he is genuinely the nicest guy.
He is so, and he's like humbled. Like, I literally had beers with him last time I was at the Texas show when I won that award. Like, we were just sitting at this honky tonk Texan bar, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, we were just literally shooting about, like, talking about knives that we've made and stuff. And he was like, do you still want some feedback on that knife? And I was like, yeah, no, please. And he's like, the integral bolster on the back of it was off by 1/8 of an inch. But because the pattern, it was like super hard to see.
Gotcha.
But he took a straight razor and like showed it. And I was like, oh, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Like, but like, he's still willing to give feedback. So no, he was a cool dude. But yeah, just the community as a whole. Or like Niels Vandenberg had no reason whatsoever to be talking to a guy like me on my first show. But then spending an hour and a half when people are like trying to come up to him, like, and he was being like, I would not say pushy with him, but he's like, no, I'm helping him right now.
I'm doing something. Yeah.
And then Rick Hall too, like just being like supportive. Rick came by every day and was like, "Do you sell any yet?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, not yet." He was like, "You'll get one," and I just would walk down and meander his way. And then I was across from Charlie Bridger, Broken Anvil Forge. And he was always like checking on me, like, you good? And like, make sure you're standing up. Don't be on your phone. Like, give me like customer service knife ideas from that perspective, because like I'd worked in customer service.
Yeah.
But it was like a whole different show presentation. So.
Right. If you think that going to a show and making knives and stuff, that when you go to the show, it's all just fun and games.
Oh, 100%.
And that's the easy part of the job. It's like, it's not the hardest, but I will tell you, and Evan, feel free to chime in. Evan's got a reputation. It is the most emotionally draining part of my job. Yeah. I love the Andy Davis Hammer In. I love going to Blade Show. I love going to Abana. I love going to Quad State. But talking to that many people and adapting to that many personalities, it's not that I don't want to talk to you. It's that at 5 o'clock when the show is done, I want to give you the attention and the respect you deserve, and I'm physically not capable of it anymore. There comes a point, and Greg doesn't have that. Greg can go to a show and he'll be out forging until 2 a.m. and he just is always on.
That is very much. I'm gonna say now, I love you, honey. I'm not calling you out. She's very much like that. She'll get peopled out, but that's why me and her work so well together. Yeah, she'll be like, you go forth and people. Yeah, and like she loves her job. She loves what she does, and she can do it all day. But when she gets home, she's like, I just need 15 minutes. I'm like, yep, go take 30. Go do. Sorry, Evan, I definitely hit the mic there.
Yell at him, Evan. You always yell at me.
No, he's better than you.
Oh.
I agree. I get that. My girlfriend works at a retail store, and she's like high up in management. And when she gets home, she needs a little bit of decompression time. But even here, being on the phones with people and interacting with my employees, and like today I had to interact with the board, and I might have to talk to a vendor. And because I'm switching back and forth between customer service to people I know to having to hold accountability, and then I have like people I'm really close to, but I kind of have to be like, hey man, what you did wasn't okay. I genuinely go home, take my shirt off, and lay on a cold tile floor.
100%.
And I stare at the ceiling for 20 minutes.
I will literally ask my wife, I'm like, it's tonight. Do you want me to draw you a bath tonight when the kids go down? Like, do you not want to deal with me? Like, it's fine. Yeah. But no, I totally get that concept. Like, I'm more of a Greg, where I'm like an Energizer bunny when it comes to people. I can talk all day and not have a problem with it. But no, I think shows were the most intimidating part, because then you go to a show and like, first off, if you've only sold online or like to your family and friends, you have no idea how to price your stuff.
Oh, for sure.
And it's like, okay, you get the typical thing of like materials versus what you want time-wise. And the thing I learned after my first couple of shows was people weren't going to pay that unless you were famous. Yeah. And like, that's fine. Like, they absolutely deserve all the credit with it. So that's kind of the reason why you know about this, but like I started making my quote unquote budget line.
Yes, I want to talk about this. This is the coolest idea. Okay. Your stainless budget line.
Yes.
Is, from what I understand, because we've talked about it we've never talked about it as this is what I'm doing. It's always been like, oh yeah, and on that line I do this, and then we'll talk 2 months later, and it's like on this line, you know. So from my understanding is that you have a line that comes as like a 3 set, and it's for like entry level chefs to be able to get something that just gets them in the door with a good quality knife without breaking their bank, so they can pursue their passion the same way that we might buy a grizzly grinder before we step up to an Ameribraid or something like that.
Correct. It's basically, so I did it, I started it with just a chef knife. And I was at shows and I was seeing that, like, you know, I had really great Damascus, that's one of them. I've actually refinished that blade because I have a sandblaster now, and that gives a better finish.
Nice.
But so I started going to shows, and I was seeing, like, you know, all these high-end Damascus pieces, raindrop patterns and everything, and, you know, asking like $500-$600 for that, and people would be like, "Oh, this feels really great. Like, this is a great knife." And then you tell them the price, and they're like, "Oh, I'll definitely be back." They never were.
Right.
And then I also noticed like EDC knives were selling because those are in the like $150 to $250 range. And I worked in retail for 12 years. I ran a multi-million-dollar business, so it's like, I started seeing the connections with that, and I was like, okay, so that's kind of where the price range people want to be. And then that was like the first instinct I had. But at the time, the stainless was an unattainable thing because I didn't have a heat treat oven. You think stainless, you think cryo, you think all these things. And I was like, okay, you know, one day maybe when I'm like all big and everything, that'd be an avenue to look into. But then actually at a Hammer in here, Andrew Larson did his presentation on forging a rounding hammer.
Yes.
And he had per stroke knew what was going to happen and had it like scientifically done. And I was like, I'd never thought like in a blacksmithing way that I could like literally sit down and find out what I needed per item to know what it is.
He is so good at it that while they were forging, he had to tell Rob, I actually need you at 80% because you're going to like, I told him 165 strokes or whatever it was. We're going to end at 130. Like he was like, back off, we're going too fast.
So I saw that and I was like, okay. So then I literally, for the next probably 4 or 5 months, really looked into how many like belts I was using per knife. And then I found out about the steel called AEBL. And I read a book by Dr. Laren Thomas, sorry. And I was like, oh, I can actually heat treat this because I just bought like there's a lot of snowbirds in Mesa, Arizona.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And I'm terrified of dolls. But this woman had used, you're welcome for that. This woman had like this Paragon 10-inch by 10-inch square.
Oh, she was making porcelain dolls.
She was making porcelain dolls. And
I was like, where's the correlation?
So sorry. Yeah, my ADHD, like I said, dog moment. She would make porcelain dolls in this oven, but she was selling it for like $175. And I was like, I absolutely need that oven. There was like 6 other people on the way, and I was like, okay, no, I'm buying this oven. So she sold it to me, and for the next 2 years, that's how I heat treated stainless knives. Like I had them either water jet cut out, or I would sit there with a 10-inch piece of AEBL and I'd cut it out on my bandsaw. And that's where I really like learned how to heat treat stainless. And once I got comfortable, that's where I was like, okay, I can actually do this. So I sat down for the next 2 weeks and I made 7 knives. And I was like, what is the process of this? How many belts am I using? What belts am I using? Because I found that made an advantage too.
Yep.
But so I had everything down, and it was 1 36 grit VSM 885 ceramic belt could knock out 3 AEBL heat treated blades.
Oh, nice.
The third one, it was start to get a little rough and start to get a little glossy, but it was still able to push through without burning the blade.
Yeah.
So I did that. Then I would go up to, at that point, I was still using ceramic 120, and then I would do ultra fine surface conditioning. And I would do 1 ceramic 120 per knife. And then a surface conditioning would last me, I think it was like 30 knives before it started to go like really dull.
Yeah.
And so I like had all that down. There was the piece of steel that I had with it cost like $15.
Yeah.
And so I did all the math, and it was like $38 at the time for my material cost into a stainless steel knife. And I was like, oh, so when I'm charging for these, I'm like not overcharging, but like I could actually sell this at like a $200 to $250 price point.
Oh, for
still
sure,
make
yeah.
plenty of profit on it.
Yeah.
For my time in this. And the thing is also, most of the time on it, because I'm only taking it to a surface grind finish, is in the heat treat, and I'm not doing anything. So it's like dead time. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I sell stainless steel chef's knives now for $200 a pop. And it's not like the world's most amazing mirror polish finish. It's not, but it's a custom handmade knife that gets somebody in the door to the custom knife world.
Right.
Where they're like, oh, this was actually a really great performance knife. What else can you do? And then it's like, oh, okay, you can go high carbon. It's going to take more maintenance, because that's the other thing. People would buy high carbon blades and they'd be like, well, it's rusting.
Yep.
And I'm like, you're not listening to what I'm telling you. I'm taking care of it. So stainless is like kind of, for me, where I've been making the bread and butter money. It gets them to feel good that they're buying a custom-made, handmade knife. While it's not, forged out, it's still a handmade knife, because I'm grinding it, I'm doing all the work on it. And I tell them, I did not forge this. When people are like, oh, you like made this, I'm like, yes, I made this, but it's not a forged knife. It is stock removal. Just as strong, just as good. But it's not like a Damascus knife. It's not going to have a cool pattern in it. It's just going to be a matte finish on it. But since then, I've kind of evolved the process. That was just a stainless knife. Now you can buy a set of like a paring knife and a stainless chef's knife. So you get two knives. And I actually have a buddy who's a woodworker now, so he's actually doing cutting boards for me too. So this Christmas season, I haven't launched it yet, but you can buy a cutting board and two knives for $350.
That's insane. And that's that. And we kind of talked about it when you were talking to me about leaving your conglomerate job. Well, I guess they're not a conglomerate; it's just one entity. But your big time big boy job, because we had similar paths in that, and I had talked about leaving $1 billion business to come here and do what I love. And you were like, "Hey, I'm really thinking about that." And one of the things that we talked about was I am so impressed by the 12-ton and the fact that it's such a good price point for the entry level. Don't get me wrong. I know $3,000 is a lot of money. I'm not crazy. But for what you're getting,
100%.
And for what you're able to do, the goal is never for you to buy a 12-ton and have it for 50 years. The goal is for you to buy a 12-ton and grow your shop to be able to afford a power hammer or a bigger press or whatever. And that seems like the same thing that you're trying to do is, hey, you got a $350, cutting board, paring knife, chef's knife from me. You absolutely love it. You see my maker's mark the next time you're ready to buy, or maybe it's a loved one's birthday or whatever. And that's when they can contact you. And even if they do just buy another stainless set, it's still profitable for you. But if maybe the tides have changed and they got that promotion at work, or they freed up a little bit of money somehow and they're like, I'm ready for a bigger and better knife, you have created a rapport with them. You've created an established relationship where they trust you now.
Yeah.
And they're going to go to you even, we've talked about Salem. They're going to go to you before they go to Salem because you're known to them. Salem's obviously known in the knife making world, but to you, somebody who's not super into the knife making world probably has never heard of Salem or Mamasi or Jason Knight.
Oh, no, 100%. Like you have the famous chefs who know those kind of like high end knife making names and stuff. Like the first one I always go with is Bob Kramer.
Right.
And like I sat through, he did not sat through, like it was torture. It was actually super informative. He did a class at Blade Show where he talked about like knife making business and like how to do it. And I still look at those notes that I took from that class. Yeah. But no, like they'll know all those names, but then you go to like your line chefs, and that's kind of who I was targeting. It was like, okay, they're either wanting to become a chef and they're working through like the grunt where they don't have the funds to go buy like this knife. That's
you worked at Chili's in high school and you fell in love with cooking. Right.
And like I did culinary class when I was in high school, and I, looked at custom knife sets, and I was like, oh dear Lord.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I was like, I kind of want to go towards that group. So I went into restaurants, and like Arizona actually has a surprising food scene.
Okay.
And I went in and talked to a bunch of chefs because once again, the corporate job, I was up in Scottsdale. So there's a lot of higher end restaurants in Scottsdale, and I would just, go in and talk to them. There's this one steakhouse, and I met a chef from there, and I was talking to him, and he's like, I'm just a line chef. And I was like, no, what do you need from a knife? Because they're the ones who are sitting there prepping all the meals. So they're going to sit on the cutting board for 8 hours a day using that same knife So I literally just would give them out to torture test them and be like, where are the hot spots? Where is it feeling in your hand? What does it feel like? And different materials. So that's when I really learned that as cool as it looks for a usable knife, you never want to have, even if it's stabilized wood, because I live in Arizona, that doesn't actually mean anything because it all still dries out. Wood as a bolster doesn't really work.
Sure.
Because it'll still get moisture into it.
Yeah.
So that's why on all of my knives now, I will either use rubberized micarta or paper micarta as the bolster on my knives, just to make sure there's no water seepage into it.
Yeah.
And it just holds up better.
Yeah.
So like that's one of the lessons I learned from that. Another one was they really like the Coke bottle handles.
Oh, sure.
If it fits in their hand right.
Yeah.
But then if it doesn't,
it's a tragedy.
there's like, so I have, it's actually something I saw Josh Weston did. He 3D printed handles. So now I just have, I didn't 3D print because I'm not that cool, but I have different handles at different lengths where I will actually like talk to the person and like, if they're local, I'll be like, can you fit this in your hand? See which one you like.
Oh, okay.
So like it gives them a better like feeling of what they're going to get.
Yeah, that's super cool.
It's been a lot of research in doing that, but like that pays for me to do the projects that I enjoy doing. And so me and my buddy, Zach, he's kind of like my shop helper and he's one of my best friends. He's been helping me in the shop a lot and he's a Kung Fu master. Yeah,
Okay.
He's a legit Kung Fu master.
Evan might have to take over this portion if we're going to talk about Kung Fu.
He's I think he's a 6th or 7th degree. Zach, don't get mad at me. But he's
going to comment and
right.
be like, it's actually judo
he will.
and I'm 1st degree brown belt,
I know
you
it
idiot.
is Kung Fu. It is Shaolin Kempo Kung Fu. But we did a couple of like Chinese Kwandaos.
Okay.
We did my first attempt at YouTube. We did a Damascus spear, the Spear of Destiny.
Yeah.
That was a fun build, just simple twist Damascus. And then we're working on his sword right now as a Chinese Jian, but it's like 300 layer sword with nickel in it and everything. So like those are the fun projects I get to do because I have this other line of business that supports it. And that's one of the things that Bob actually talked about was you can't shoehole yourself into one thing. You got to have different lines of revenue.
Right.
And coming from a corporate job, it's like, oh, I can do the business side of it, and this pays for the fun side that I would just want to go and do.
Right. The diversity there, that when you think about like you think about a niche product and it's always like, okay, this guy makes this one niche product. I can find my niche. I can find my one thing. And it's like, there's a reason that only one guy does that.
Yeah.
And it's because there's such a small market for it that if you spread out and do 2 or 3 things, and I think me and Greg talked about this on the podcast once, was where it's like, make knives and take them to your county fair and sell them, but also do Christmas tree ornaments and do hairpins and do fire poker sets. Do the stuff that you're not stoked about. I would love doing those things compared to doing a knife. So for me, my advice would be take a couple knives.
100%.
Do your hairpins, do your fire pokers, but take it because people will walk by and be like, oh, you forged that? Cool. They see a knife and somewhere in the brutality of man, we go, I have to touch it. I have to pick it up. I have to put my finger on the edge. It's going to create more interaction. So if you're a knife maker, take the stuff that might actually, somebody walks by and they're like, oh, my grandpa was a blacksmith. I would love to have a Christmas tree ornament that reminds me of my grandpa that's hand forged, like those little things are you'll be amazed at the difference of the amount of money you walk home with.
Oh, I have a buddy, Wesley Crum. I met him in Texas at the show. He wasn't moving knives, but he was moving steak turners that he was like knocking out a dime a dozen. And I was like, yeah, because it's a price point that people want to spend money on.
Right.
And I was lucky enough at that show to completely sell it on my table. I didn't sell the award-winning knife because I ended up raffling that off because I wanted just to give people a chance to get that kind of knife. And he was just like, how did you sell it? I'm like, the price point I had it at. They was at a price point people could spend money. And to be perfectly honest, all my handles were like purple and pink handles at the time, which I did it for a reason. Because the wives would be like, okay, honey, you go buy that knife from that guy over there. I want to buy this chef knife.
Yeah.
And not trying to be misogynistic with that. It's just I knew the market that people who were just walking around because I'd done that show before.
Well, and it might not even just be the wife, but if you did that, Nigel and Germ would walk by.
Oh, 100%.
And Nigel would be like, I want the pink one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Germ, if I can get the pink one, you can get that gothic looking one that's all black over here. You know, appealing to different tastes is
and that's what
on the same
I
game.
had colors that nobody else had at the show, and I was like, let's just do the weirdest, funkiest things and like, just try it out.
Or like Ed Soul, etching sharks and zodiac symbols and stuff.
Yep.
He'll hand forge a knife, and then I kind of put my foot in the mouth because I didn't know how to ask it. But when you take that much time and then you put a zodiac symbol or a shark or something onto a knife, I asked him, I was like, do you feel like that kind of depletes the value because it takes away from it making it look hand forged now that you've got like a 3D laser etched kind of gas station-y feel to it? And he was like, oh no, not at all. Those are like my cheaper knives, and those are the ones that sell because they're $50 and it's some dude that thinks sharks are freaking cool.
Yeah.
It's a dude that's not into knives.
Yeah.
Like he thinks sharks are cool. He ended up at a knife show somehow. I still got him to buy something.
Yeah, that's literally my Texas show. It was all like old Forged and Fire alumni. So I knew the people weren't wanting to necessarily be there for the custom knife part. They wanted to go meet all these people.
It's a meet and greet. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I had never signed autographs for that show before, and I was like, okay, this is different.
Yeah.
But like I made something that the average Joe would spend money on.
Yeah.
So that's where I found the most success in the knife kind of community. And like there are other people who do similar things to me out in Arizona. But the thing I really enjoy about it is it's a large enough niche where my style is very different from like Corey Dunlap. He's another really great example. He is prolific in knives out in Arizona, but my style is significantly different than his, and his knives are amazingly stunning.
Yeah.
But he has his own sharpening business, and like I can make a sharp knife, but I don't enjoy sharpening.
Yeah.
But he does, and like he has this whole setup in Tempe where he does like knife sharpening. He teaches classes for like stone sharpening, and I'm like, I'm glad you do that because I have nothing. I want nothing to do with
I'll
that.
give all of my customers your number as soon as they buy a knife.
Yeah. Like I tell people, like, I will sharpen your knives if you want me to. I'm not going to charge you because like I don't enjoy this, and I'm going to sharpen it on a belt. It's not going to be like this 7,000 grit like Japanese stone that cost me $5,000.
Hymnals playing in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not going to have water like bowls going on and everything. Like I'm just going to get it done to where it will cut and give it away.
Right. There's a guy out here in Indiana. I believe it's pronounced Ashland Blades, and he does the same thing. He makes knives. He teaches classes. But he also will go to local restaurants and set up and sharpen the chef's knives and stuff like that. But he's in the parking lot, so you'll drive by and it's like, oh, I can get my knife sharpened. And I don't know if he enjoys it. I haven't talked to him very much, but those different avenues. We started off with, I want to make knives. Okay, if I'm making knives, I'm going to have little pokey things for the kids, and I'm going to have ornaments for the grandparents. Or you find those customer bases. Having a sharpener, and Broadbeck has the new pirate system.
They do have that system.
And yes, I'm sure if you took 5 hours and like you said, you take your water and your stone and you get meticulous, but I've watched them blow through like 100 knives in like 3 hours when we were doing an event. Like you came, you bought a horseshoe, and then me and Evan and Brett Onick forged a knife out with you, and then you took it over to them and sharpened it. And we did. Evan, do you remember the final count on that? Because I think it was more than 100.
Oh, I was going to say somewhere in the 20s.
20 you mean?
I think it was like 20 a piece for us. And then Sean had like 3 or 4 people up in his boat because he came to us. We weren't supposed to do it at all.
Okay.
He came to us and he was like, do you guys know how to forge a knife? And we were like, yeah. And he was like, cool, I need you guys to start forging knives. We sold way more than we thought we were going to. We got it. Like next year, we just have to up the price because there's no way. He was selling them, I think it was $20 to buy half a horseshoe and forge a knife.
Okay.
And then he went over to Broadbeck and was like, can you guys sharpen knives? We just can't keep up.
Right.
And that little pirate system.
Oh yeah.
Super cool. You could grab one of those, go to local restaurants, sharpen knives for a reasonable price. And
totally.
then as you're leaving saying, hey, by the way, guys who do this for a living, I also make knives.
Yeah.
I also fix knives.
100%.
I rehandle knives. And that can create a new customer base for you.
Well, and it's, I mean, we all understand, well, at least people I assume who watch this podcast understand, like, Meta loves knife makers. It's all about
So
getting
much.
your name out there. Like, that is the main challenge of any knife maker right now, is just getting your name out there. Because people are willing, like, even with how different the economy is right now and everything, like, people still have income that they can spend on things.
Yeah.
They just don't know where you are.
Well, and we're experiencing that too with our machines is we're not at mission critical yet.
Right.
We're not at the point where people are like not spending money on anything, right? What it is that traditional means of entertainment, I think, have gone away. Like movie theaters everywhere are closing, roll arenas are closing, bowling alleys are closing, and people are getting more into hobbies.
Yeah.
So your grandpa was a woodworker, or had model trains, or was a blacksmith, or whatever. Those are starting to come back, and so I think people are just being more particular or more informed about where they're spending their money.
100%.
So that, like you said, it's not that there's this dry up of nobody's out there spending money. It's that you have to get the information in front of them, because there's a more informed buyer, because they can Google anything.
Oh, absolutely.
In a matter of a second. Oh, this guy said it's made out of AEBL. Oh, okay. Turns out that's a good knife steel. Got it.
Yeah. Oh, that, and the visibility too. Like, since Forged has gone dark, people don't see blacksmithing in everyday life. Like, the most popular point of contact with blacksmithing now is like Pirates of the Caribbean with Will Turner.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, that's, nobody does that anymore. It's not as mainstream, so we're not getting the attention that we used to with it.
Yeah. Well, Neil used to be on GQ. I don't know. He might still be on GQ.
100%.
We got up to that level of like, hey, we had a lifetime knife maker come out and judge blacksmithing movies. That video of him calling out flaws in black, like, I watched that probably 2 or 3 years after it came out. I was like, Neil did a GQ video?
Yeah, right.
And it had millions of views. And it's like, even if 10 people saw that video and they were like, oh, I could probably do that then. Oh. Who's this Neil Kamamara guy? Google him real quick. Oh, he's on solar in the middle of Hawaii.
Yeah.
I have more access to power and equipment and stuff than he probably does. Now, he also, he's got presses and power hammers and stuff that he's brought in, but he started out on his grandpa's blacksmith shop.
Oh, yeah.
So the access that we have, I think, the notoriety of just getting the craft out there is super important.
And it's also funny because it's never been easier to get started.
Yeah.
Like, when I first got started 10, 11 years ago, like, you had to go looking to find anything blacksmithing related.
Knife dogs, iForge iron, and questionable Reddit threads.
Yeah. that was it.
Yeah.
And then you had maybe like 5, 6 people making YouTube videos at the time. And it was like, okay, cool. Like, you see that kind of stuff. But now that it's ridiculous just how easy, like, I'm not saying it's the best way, but like, you can get an anvil and a forge for under $250 now.
Right. Well, it's the same thing as the 12-ton. Buy a $200 anvil, forge, hammer combo kit.
Yeah.
And then in 2 years, when you're like, oh, I'm actually, I've sold a lot of stuff, I can probably afford to go and get a Colombian. I can go afford to get a Trenton.
Rip Holland anvil.
Yeah, that's
that one bumped me out.
That's too fresh.
Yeah.
If you have a Holland anvil, cherish it.
Yeah, that I wanted one so.
Yeah, the one in the
bad.
school that we take to shows might end up getting a little bit more protected.
I didn't know you had one.
Yeah.
Can I actually try it while I'm here? Because I've never worked on a Holland and I've always wanted to.
Absolutely. It's very small compared to because we take it to shows. I think it's 80 pounds. It's 75 pounds because they moved it up to 80 when they added the shelf. It's the shelfless.
Okay.
But it's one of my favorite anvils to work on because, and ready to get controversial, I don't like crazy amounts of rebound. When you like, people talk about rebound on their anvil and it's like, well, I only lost 1 centimeter over 10. And it's like, cool. Trenton used to advertise that they had the least rebound in the market. I don't like that either. I like medium rebound.
I like when I'm getting something back, but I don't want it to be like I'm gonna have to guard it away from my face.
Exactly, right. And that to me is the most consistent with, if I accidentally miss or whatever and I knock, I'm not gonna break a tooth out.
No, 100%. And like, my main shop anvil is I think I have a 65-pound little Atlas anvil. Like that's my main, because I'm not, having a big anvil is amazing. I had a 200-pound Peter Wright that I loved, but it had a huge sway in the back. And, when you first get started, it's like, I have to have this anvil. Yeah. And then you realize, I just need kind of something flat to hit it.
Especially once you start getting presses and power hammers and, grinders and stuff that you can kind of tweak those things. I've got so my shop is probably going to remain, for the most part, powerless. Obviously the blower, I have a reciprocating saw, but I'm probably not going to have presses and power hammers because I have that all here.
Yeah.
So I have a 400-pound with an 8-inch face, big. I can do just about anything on it. And then I have a 150-pound Trenton. And between the two of those, if I can't figure out how to get my workpiece on those, it's like, you got a problem. You go to other guys' shops, and I've seen it a couple times where they have, I've got a 50, I've got a 75, I've got a 120, I've got a 150, and it's like, do you use all of them? And they're like, yes.
Yeah, that's Salem. He has, he has a rolling mill, and then there's an anvil right there. He has his big power hammer, and then there's an anvil right next to it. And it's like he'll hit it on a couple whacks, straighten it, and then he'll go to his anvil and then like really planish it. And it's like, you have an anvil for every situation, don't you? And he's like, yeah, and I have like a little jeweler's anvil back in the machine shop for when I need to like tap stuff.
Ding, ding.
And I'm like, okay, I have one anvil and I'm happy.
Yeah, it also comes down to, and I hate to say this, but I don't hate to say it. It's going to sound very aggressive. Are you doing that quality of work? Where if Salem is doing that, Salem is putting out a much higher quality than most of us are.
100%.
And we talked about this with Paul. Before you go out and get an anvil for every situation, you need to know how to make what you have works, and you need to go back to your basics and your techniques and your foundation and your fundamentals. Yep. Somebody like Salem having that many anvils makes sense.
Yeah.
A guy doing it as a hobby on a Friday, Saturday, maybe a Sunday, if football's not on, that to me is like, it's cool. And if you tell me I'm doing it for the cool factor, I want 9 anvils, I'm like, okay, I get it. But if you don't have the foundations, and I don't personally, like I'm saying this as one of those people, if you don't have the foundation to be able to make what you have works, don't blame your tools.
Yeah.
Don't say, I need a bigger anvil, or, it's the horn on the Doyle won't let me, so I've got it, which the horn on the Doyle is pretty crazy. But, you start with your foundations and your fundamentals first, and then expand into your tooling.
The best advice I ever got from anybody, just go do it. Mm-hmm. Like, just get out. Like, it doesn't matter what you have. If you're hitting a rock as your hammer, and just go out and start making something. Yep. It's not gonna look good. It's not gonna do anything. It's gonna look terrible, but it's gonna be able to be something that you can do. And like that, even when I have tough days now, like I was up with, I think it was Salem, and me and him were just talking about like business and how it's kind of like shifting right now and everything. And he's like, the best thing I found for that is just go outside and start working. Like, even if you don't want to, even if you feel like absolute like mental dog, like just get out there and just start making something.
Right.
And that's, I've had days where, I'm very lucky to where this is my main profession now, but there are still days where, we had to pull my daughter out of daycare for 3 weeks because there was some issues going on there. So I was daddy daycare for the next 3 weeks. And I just was so tired. Like, I wanted her to have fun. So we went to parks and we did all this fun stuff. But it's like, in the time I could be out in the shop, I was like, I really don't want to.
Yeah.
But then it's like, no, just go out and do something. And that was the most rewarding times. Because it's like, you conquer kind of like that, not negative, but it's like the voice in your head that's like, you can actually take a break.
Yeah.
You can take a nap.
Right.
And it's like, no, I need to go do something. And every time I won that, it was like, I feel so much better and accomplished because of that.
Well, I think that's a good place for that to be the message of your podcast, and to wrap it up and let that be what resonates with people. Because I say it all the time. We've had Josh Prince agreed with me. Nathan talks about it all the time. I'm hitting stuff now. It's getting late. I'm loopy. Go out and do it. Just stop making, and I don't mean like accusatorily, like stop making excuses. You're being a little whiny baby about it. I mean it like you can do it. Like I want it to be encouraging. And when you say the most important advice you've ever gotten is go out and do it. Like if you're listening and you just caught this podcast or you haven't been in the shop in a while or whatever, go out and do it. And the worst case scenario, and it's like, oh, I made this thing and nobody's bought it yet. Put it on your table the next place you go somewhere. Yeah. Having inventory on hand is not a bad thing.
Somebody someday will buy the one piece that you think nobody's going to buy.
Right. Bob Rankin one time made the worst bottle opener that I have ever seen in my life. And he said, nobody will ever buy that. And I gave him $10 just to buy it, just to have a piece of Bob Rankin in my house.
That's also nice to kind of prove your own point. Too.
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly. That was a fun night. That was Eric Himker Hammer In. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for spending time with us. Thank you for coming to the Hammer In. Thank you for coming the past 4 years. And we enjoy our time with you very much and the camaraderie that you bring. And you are a perfect example of creating community across the states. It doesn't have to be physical. It can be just having connections everywhere.
100%.
So thank you guys for joining us. Check out Paul at Gentle Giant Forge on Instagram, YouTube. And is that your website as well?
Yes.
Okay. And his website, Gentle Giant Forge. Buy your loved ones a gift of cutlery. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good one. God, we did this yesterday and I knew it was going to be hot. Still hot.